You have to recognize as an NFL team when you have that window of opportunity, that championship window of opportunity. And when you've got it, the hell with the past, and more importantly, the hell with the future, because the future is now. You have to go all in. And when you go all in, you have to go all in. You could sacrifice some crappy teams years down the road that aren't even a reality right now, and who knows how anything could play out in the future. So you don't worry about that so much. What you do worry about is, hey, we need a difference maker or two, and that can take us over the hump. Then we got to go after it. And I respect the hell out of the Rams and general manager Les Snead because they went all in. And when you go all in, at some point in time, you better win it all. Otherwise, you didn't do it right. Well, the Rams definitely went in all in last year. And the results show that it paid off. They made the big trade for Matthew Stafford, which is the Rams, again, making a statement of there's more than one way for them to utilize draft picks to help their team. You could utilize draft picks to draft players, such as Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp and so forth over the years. Or you could use draft picks to bolster your team in the trade market, which brings you the guys in the past like Jalen Ramsey, which brings you Matthew Stafford. It was a gamble because it's hard to know what Matthew Stafford was going to be outside of Detroit. Like, how much better would he really be in Los Angeles? Is he the type of guy that can win big games in big spots? Then they added another piece to their defense at the deadline, trading for Von Miller, basically foregoing the first several rounds of the 2022 draft because they said, we don't want to leave anything to chance. You know, we don't even have Von Miller sign long-term, may not sign here long-term. We want to go after it. We want to go after it now. And God bless them, they did. And it paid off. There was certainly a moment or two where it was looking sketchy. The NFC Championship game, lucky they won that. Frankly, I'd go back to the divisional round game against the Bucs and say, damn, they're lucky they won that because they coughed up a big second half lead, if you remember. And then even in the Super Bowl, good teams find ways to make their opportunities and so forth, but they're lucky in some respects that they were able to hold on and win, but they did. So already going all in paid off. Now, as part of what happened is going all in like that and being up against the cap, even though the Rams seem to say salary cap, schmallery cap, is that you're going to have to watch some players leave that maybe you wish you could keep. And it was a mixed bag in the offseason for the Rams, certainly. Now, not only do you have the uncertain status of OBJ, especially coming off of the torn ACL in the Super Bowl, which really sucked. It really sucked. Like, I looked at him and maybe he was going to be like a dark horse MVP candidate. What a redemption story that would have been for him, especially after the early touchdown. Like, he was going to be a problem for the Bengals, and then he tears his knee up. That sucked. You want to see the game's big stars on the big stage ball out. That's when it's the best. But then you've also got the fact that they lost Von Miller and Darius Williams, Austin Corbett, Sebastian Joseph, Johnny Hecker, Okoronkwo. Like, these were not small losses. These were sizable losses for this team. Where the Rams do a little bit better maybe than some other champions of the past is they were able to add some big names. Now, I hesitate to say like how much Allen Robinson was a truly big addition, but he might be. He might be. Certainly will be around a better quarterback and more competent play calling, that's for damn sure. So he might decide that he gives a crap all of a sudden and ball out there in Los Angeles. But then they're able to add somebody like Bobby Wagner to that defense. Not every day a guy, even if he's at the tail end of his career, like Bobby Wagner is a future Hall of Famer. He was the best player on the Legion of Boom defenses. Like, being able to get him, it's a way to compensate for losing somebody like Von Miller. But then you also lose Andrew Whitworth to retirement, who had a great swan song last few years of his career there in Los Angeles playing left tackle. You can focus on a lot of the things that the Rams lost, but the key thing to remember is what they still have. They still have Matthew Stafford. They still have Cooper Kupp, the Super Bowl MVP. So you have a franchise quarterback, and you have a clear-cut, true number one wide receiver, an elite wide receiver in the game. And then on defense, you've got the best defensive player in the league, bar none, in Aaron Donald, future first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the 4 or 5 best defensive tackles, defensive linemen, I should say defensive tackles, in NFL history. Although I ain't going to say, well, he plays the 5 technique now. You get what I'm saying. Like, he's in that category. He's that special. We should appreciate him while he's still playing. And then you've got Leonard Floyd, who, since he's come to Los Angeles, has been everything that the Bears wanted him to be. 10.5 sacks in 2020, 9.5 sacks in 2021. Makes you wonder, like, what the hell ever went wrong in Chicago? Why couldn't they have gotten that out of him? And then Jalen Ramsey is an elite cover corner in the league. So they've got stars. They've got difference makers on both sides of the ball. The Rams clearly believing in the star power element playing a big deal for them, and clearly manifested in work. And they've also got 60% of their offensive line returning. Like, you can say, well, they lost Whitworth and lost Corbett, but they still got Havenstein, they've got Edwards. Like, it's not all totally barren there up in the offensive line. This is a team that has their stars back. So, no reason to believe that they can't be right in the mix. And we're going to find out on Thursday night how they look. Week 1 against the Bills at home. Defending Super Bowl champions at home traditionally do pretty well in Week 1 games, in those kickoff games. We'll see if they're ready to roll in defense of their championship. Hard to know how this team's going to respond now that they won the title. They're clearly a team that is still trying to point to, like, trying to win another one. Then you look at weeks 3 through 5, a couple of key matchups there. They got to go to Arizona, to San Francisco, host Dallas. You know, when you look at the larger playoff picture in the NFC, you certainly would like to beat the Cowboys. Then you look at the 49ers and the Cardinals, and you say, there's a chance early to put yourself out to a big lead in the division, get an early tie-break advantage over the 49ers and the Cardinals, and you can get some separation to put them in a bad spot. You need to be able to handle business there. And then you circle right back, weeks 8 through 10, similar type of scenario. San Francisco at home, then you got to go to Tampa, host Arizona. You want to win those 2 divisional games because, again, if you could do that, like if you beat San Francisco and Arizona twice, the division is basically yours for sure, and you're going to win it pretty comfortably. And if you're able to go down to Tampa, let's say, and you could beat the Bucks, you know, now again you're creating yourself a really advantageous situation potentially in terms of tiebreakers come playoff time. And probably one of the most massive games that the Rams will have all season is that Week 15 matchup. So in December in Lambeau against Rodgers and the Packers, like that's going to be a battle right there. And that could very well determine, you know, who has the number 1 overall seed and home field advantage and gets the bye week in the NFC side of the playoff picture. I look at this Rams team and, you know, they're a team that has some flaws, but that star power can certainly compensate for some of that. I think they're the best team in this division by a good margin. They're going to be a threat again. They certainly are a threat to repeat. I like the Rams to go 12-5 in their division, probably be the 2 or 3 seed in the NFC, certainly win this division comfortably. And with that playoff experience that they have, you know, they could make some noise again this year too.